Hello, darling. You coming to hang out? Coming to hang out? Hello. Hi. Hi, everyone. How are you? Now, I think I am live. Let me just double check. Let me see. Am I live? Give me a wee hashtag live in the comments, ladies, if you're grabbing me live. And if, oh yes, I am early, Claire. I have a habit. Hi, Alicia, how are you? Right, so I'm gonna have some weird matrix scenario where I've got you playing here, got you playing Zoom, got you here. Hi, Melanie, I was just about to say hello to you. I've had a really lovely day today. I have met really lovely people who have just made my heart happy. So Melanie, you're one of those. So welcome to the gang. Melanie is joining us over in the EMW Academy. She's going to rock it. But what a lovely lady. And I spoke to a lady called Jacinta earlier as well. Lovely. Oh, Tracy, no, we had the COVID last week. Did I have COVID last week? No, I'd finished by this time last week. I had it 2 weeks ago. My little boy had it last week. Hope you get better soon. It's really weird. Some people have been really heavily impacted and some just nothing. Hi, Wendy. Lovely to have you all here. So tonight, my darlings, we are doing all about protein. So I've kind of done this arse over tit. Last week, we did collagen. God, that's going quickly. We did collagen, and this week we're doing protein. And protein is vital. I'm going to take you through a little bit of a presentation that I very rushed pulled together earlier. It's not how I would ever stand up and do an official presentation, but it's all right. It will do. It does what it needs to do. So yes, all about the protein. So let me figure out how I'm going to share this because I need to differ. Eddie, be quiet. For those of you that don't know, that was my dog Eddie. He is slightly bonkers, lovely but bonkers. And let's figure out how we screen share. Screen share. Bear with me, ladies. Files. Oh, nope. Yes. Right, this is how I do it. This is how I do it. Okay. Now, people, now I've got to scroll between different screens. Can you see the Google Slides on the computer? Yes, you can. I know you can because I can see it on my phone, so it's worked. So tonight I'm going to take you through this very high-end, lot of time spent presentation on protein. What it is, why we need it, how much we should be having, and to give you some meal by meal breakdowns of how we should be getting our protein in, and give you some ideas of meals, give you some ideas of snacks, and hopefully as we go through, some of our current clients can also jump in with comments about what they've found to work well with their protein requirements, because this is probably one area that women, especially women that have got a history of dieting, really can struggle with initially. And it can get quite, it's not hard by any stretch of the imagination, but it's like, at first it's like, oh my God, how am I going to make all this work for me? So hopefully some of the more experienced ladies will jump in and give their ideas of what's worked for them. Now, protein is what we call a macronutrient. So you might have heard people talking about macros. Macro just means big. Nutrients means nutrients. So there's three macronutrients. There's technically four because we sometimes now count alcohol, and it has zero nutritional benefits. So it's not really a macronutrient. But protein is a macronutrient, and it's a vital macro, one, as I say, women don't tend to get enough of. And that's because over there's a whole societal issue of dieting, and that we've been always told to cut back on our meat and cut back on our dairy and to cut back on all these things that actually are a natural source of protein. And when you think to all your diet clubs with the, your Slimming World and your Weight Watchers, it's all you can eat fruit and veg, salad, leaves, dust, all the fruit and veg. And the fruit and veg is absolutely vital, absolutely, for vitamins and minerals. But protein is your fat loss friend, okay? Am I making sense so far? Let me just scroll through the comments. I can see. So as we go, ask your questions. It appears that I can actually see the questions coming through. So if you do have any questions as we go, just ask. That's what I'm here for. So protein is vital for a couple of main reasons. So protein is what helps our body grow and repair cells and muscle. Okay, so muscles are a group of cells. But we need to, as we go through life, as we exercise, as we age, our cells break down and we need to repair them. Our muscle breaks down, I'll come to that in a wee minute, and we need to grow more muscle. So in order for that to work properly, we need protein to be able to fuel that process. Now, protein is made up of these little building blocks called amino acids. This is just me nerding out a little bit. But there's 20 different amino acids that they all link together in all these various combinations, and we use all of these combinations to make new proteins, new bone, new muscle. These are a form of protein, enzymes, help our hormones. And we also can use protein as an energy source. Now, carbohydrates are technically our body's preferred source of energy. And I'm not going to go into that tonight, because if anybody starts asking me about the ATP cycle, I'll probably hang up on you and leave. That was the hardest part of nutrition. So if anybody's done their nutrition qualification and they understood the ATP process, then hats off to you. I did not. So anyway, it can be used as a protein source, but your body primarily uses carbohydrates. Okay, it turns to glycogen, etc., etc. Anyway, so some of these amino acids, so 11 of these can be made by our body. They're called non-essential, so we don't need to essentially get them from elsewhere because our body does it for us. But there are some that your body can't make on their own, and they're known as essential amino acids, i.e. they're essential for us to get from food or from supplementation. All right, that makes sense. You don't really know that. You don't need to know that. Oh, Lizzie, have I got a nutrition qualification person here? Oh my God, there was a whole bit. Krebs cycle as well. I mean, if you're in nutrition, have you literally ever used the Krebs cycle for anything in your life? No, never ever. It's like imaginary numbers. When I did 6-year studies maths, imaginary numbers, and I was just like, when, and how am I ever going to use this? Never used imaginary numbers in my life. And even now, I think in my head, does that mean it's 11, 10, 20, 12, made up numbers. Anyway, I was a math nerd kid. Right, so, oh, Lizzie, I'm proud of you. Well done. Okay, so why is protein important for women to get for fat loss? Okay, so for any of you that have watched any of the lives on hormones or aging or menopause, you'll know now that as we get to about 38 onwards, our muscle mass starts to decrease. Okay, it's called sarcopenia. And as we age over the decades, it's something like 5% every 5 years or 5% every decade, I can't remember. So our muscle mass decline, and unless we do something about that, we're going to experience a lot of muscle mass, okay? Now, as if we have a poor diet, if we don't keep active, if we succumb to chronic illness, then that muscle mass is going to speed up, okay? And that's one of the, you see, as people get older, they become just a shell of their former selves. And that has a lot to do with that depletion of skeletal muscle. Okay, so this protein intake, this consumption of protein is going to help us maintain that muscle mass, also grow muscle mass, and it's going to help us stay strong. So that the more muscle mass you have, the stronger you will be, the longer you will live, because the science tells us that stronger people live longer, okay? Not only that, having decent muscle mass as we age, and you know how, you know the risk of osteoporosis, you know the risk of falls, you know the risk of all these things that happen to older ladies. Having more muscle mass potentially is going to be the difference between you having a fall and being able to get up by yourself versus having a fall and having to wait for somebody to come and pick you back up again. Okay, so from a longevity point of view and a health point of view, it's absolutely vital. So we need our muscle to be able to live long, healthy, happy lives. Okay, the other reasons why protein is so important is that, sorry, I'm just checking comments. When we digest protein, our body uses more energy to digest that than it does anything else. So essentially, and this is a whole other live about, you know, how energy is used by the body. But basically, as our body is digesting protein, it is using more energy, aka it is burning more calories to digest that food than it is carbs, for example, or fruit and veg, or fat. Okay. The other reason why protein is so important, and this is a huge game changer when you're trying to lose body fat, is it takes longer to digest. Therefore, it's going to keep you fuller for longer. And for those of you that have ever done any of my 5-day mini courses, I talk about this quite a lot, in that we should all be trying to get protein in the early part of the day to combat that mid-afternoon slump. Like, you know, that whole, oh, I need a coffee and I need some Fox's Cream Crunch, which are one of my favorite biscuits. A lot. Kind of got hot chocolate hobnobs were a huge source of enjoyment for me, but I've kind of gone off them. And I do like a Fox's Cream Crunch. Anyway, beside the point. So having protein in the early part of the day is going to stop that whole I'm really hungry in the mid-afternoon, or that whole immediate I need sugar. You know, very often it's the chocolate, it's the quick releasing sugary foods that we want at that time, your pastries, cakes, etc. And having enough protein in the early part of the day really combats that. So if you do find that you're having that slump mid-afternoon, top tip, have some protein for breakfast. Okay. If you're fasting, I'm going to come to this later, actually. Right, let me just check in. Any questions? Am I making sense so far? Please give me some love. Make sure that it is all making sense and I'm not sending you to sleep. I hope I'm not teaching you to suck eggs. Sort of protein. Anyway, right. So that's why protein is so important. You know, it's a dieter's friend. It is an aging healthy friend. It's going to keep you stronger. You're going to live longer. Okay, so get your protein in. There is no excuse. And as I say, from a dieting point of view, most people who don't come to groups like this and start learning the actual science and the facts will live their life just believing that they should be eating salads all the time, just salads, low-fat Miller Lights with berries. That's not going to fill you up for long, okay? So how much? So it really, how long is a piece of string? And this really depends on where you are in the here and now. And one of our coaching principles is that we don't want to take somebody from here to here in a day, because that's not sustainable. That is not something that most people can maintain. So we always start where somebody is, and then we build up over a period of time. That forms the principle of pretty much everything that we do. And the psychological benefit of that is we're gaining confidence, we're creating processes, we're creating patterns and habits, and it means that people can stick to things, rather than just going, suddenly you're going to need to eat all of this protein every single day when it's not achievable. So it really depends. Now, if you want a specific number, I would urge everybody to actually get a personalized recommendation rather than just going by this, because it depends a lot on your weight, what your goals are, male, female, your age, your current health situation. There's some contraindications to a higher protein diet. You know, people with kidney disorders shouldn't have maybe as much protein as I would be talking about here. So if you've got any health challenges or you've ever had any health issues, you maybe want to do some research about your own situation. Okay. Typically, the recommendation for fat loss is between 3/4 of a gram and 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, so I'm roughly about 170 pounds. So I aim for about 140 grams of protein every single day, but I do this, and I want you to all do this, especially when it comes to if you're tracking calories or you're tracking protein, is you need to have a range. Don't try and stick to 140 grams every single day, because there'll be some days that you don't do that, and there'll be some days that it's easy to go over. So think about everything that you're doing in terms of targets or goals. You want to do some kind of buffer so that it's not so militant, because part of this whole process is creating a sustainable lifestyle. It's not just dieting for dieting's sake. It's not just losing weight for losing sake. And it's not just trying to stick to a specific number every single day. Okay. So, sorry, I need to get comfortable. My chair has changed position. And I think I told you about the hydraulic gas is the thing doesn't work. So every now and then I periodically was sitting, and it's even more embarrassing when I'm doing a video consultation and I'm just like sinking, like, sorry. So try and find your sweet spot, and you'll find over time what works for you and what doesn't work for you. Okay. Just a reminder though, when it comes to fat loss, calories are king. Okay. So being in a calorie deficit is what is going to burn fat. Okay, calorie deficit first, protein second. So how do we get this? And this is where a lot of people struggle. Sorry, just checking in again. Oh, nobody's giving me some love. Come on, people, making sense. Come on, check in. If you, here's a fascinating fact. I can't remember the specifics, but you'll get the idea. If you just passively listen to me, you will learn, remember, recall 10% of what I say. If you take notes, you will learn, recall, retain 30 to 40%. And if you interact with me, says make sense, you're going to remember 50 to 60% of what I say. So in these masterclasses, always check in, did that make sense? Have I got a question around that? Because this is all gold. This is all really, really valuable information. So how do we get that? So there's a couple of top tips here. When you're doing your meal planning, when you're sitting down of an evening going, right, what are we going to have for breakfast, lunch and dinner next week? Base your meals around the protein source. So if you know that you guys love chicken, base a couple of meals a week around some chicken. If you know that you always have a bolognese or a chili using mince, base your meals around that, okay? If you are not tracking, and that's okay, you don't have to track, nobody has to track, and I teach this in the 5-day mini course, is that you can use your hand as a portion guide, okay? Now, a portion of protein is about the size of your palm and about the thickness of your palm. So I do have ridiculously small hands. So sorry about that, me and my midget hands. But for if you're exercising, if you're resistance training, you'll probably need more than that over the course of the day. You might need possibly 4 to 6 portions of protein. If you're not doing any resistance training, start. That means you can eat more food. But yeah, that's a good indicator. So it means that if you're out for a meal and you're like, I'm not going to ask the chef exactly how many grams of chicken he used and what sauce, you can use a visual guide of using your palm for your protein. What we want to try and do as well is create opportunity to get your protein in. And this is where fasting, I mentioned fasting earlier, intermittent fasting can prove quite problematic, because if you're limiting your eating window, it's quite hard to get your protein requirement in over an 8-hour window. I'm personally not a fan for intermittent fasting, especially for women with hormone changes, which is everybody from 38 onwards. I have found, out of all of our clients, I have found one where intermittent fasting worked for them, one out of nearly 500. So if you are intermittent fasting and you do you, that's absolutely cool. But if you're not getting anywhere, if you're not making progress, review A, your calories, and B, are you limiting your opportunity for protein? And always remember, food is the priority, supplementation comes second. So don't try and get all your protein through supplementation. You might need to at some stages, and that's okay, but I'm going to take you through some meal ideas where, you know, supplementation will be minimal. Okay, now is that making sense? Is it making sense? Good. Melanie's taking lots of notes. Hi, Clara. Hi, Joanne. Sarah, you're late. Are you tagging? Oh, I hope you're not intoxicated doing handstands. Oh, thanks, Joanne. See, Joanne said my love. Bolognese. I did just pronounce the G in bolognese. Who doesn't pronounce the G in bolognese? 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 Oh my God, this is going to warrant some chat. Yeah, fasting. Yeah, Sarah, I am exactly the same. Fasting emotionally for me gives me permission to binge eat before 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock, whatever the window is. And that doesn't sit well with me. That's a whole disordered eating approach, which is going to be another live soon. I need to write a note of that. I thought about it earlier. Okay, so let's have a wee look at some kind of ideas. Now, this is basically this is my 3 breakfasts, right? So what I eat, at least like so, right, I'll take you through it. So breakfast one is 21 grams of protein. Okay, and that is 1 egg, 2 bacon medallions, a thin bagel, butter, and mushrooms, 21 grams of protein. So you might, at first glance, you're like, actually, that's a lot of protein. It's got an egg, it's got bacon, butter, and fruit and veg don't tend to have an awful lot of protein. That's 21 grams of protein. So that's okay. But bearing in mind that my aim is to get about 140 grams of protein a day. So that's not setting me up for the great start. However, the breakfast that I have Monday to Thursday every single week gives me 42 grams of protein because it contains 120 grams of Greek 0% fat yogurt, so total or similar supermarket on milk. And it also contains collagen powder. We talked about that last week. That doesn't give me a lot of dietary protein. I think it's only like 6 grams, but the whey protein gives me a shit ton. So that's a 42 gram of protein breakfast that I get in Monday through to Thursday. And the only reason that I don't have it on Friday is because the bowl has used up by Thursday. The bowl is literally all used up by Thursday. So on Friday, what I tend to do is have the frozen berries and the whey protein and the collagen, but not the yogurt. Because I know I'm probably going to be eating more for my dinner on a Friday because we tend to have bean and pizza on a Friday. Okay. And then another core breakfast for me is just it's a bacon butty essentially. And I have 3 bacon medallions because a bacon medallion, depending on where you are, is roughly about 30 to 35 calories. So there's not a lot of calories in a bacon medallion. So 3 of them in a protein thin bagel with some butter, and I pop some cherry tomatoes in the microwave with some salt and some pepper, bung them in for a minute, squish them down. And sometimes, this is disgusting, you might not like it, sometimes I have the bagel on a plate and I just pour over the mushed tomatoes, let it soak in, and then eat it with a knife and fork, and it's delicious. But again, not a huge amount of protein in that, despite having the thin bagel, the protein thin bagel. Let me just check in. I often, Sarah, I'm with you, I very often have bacon and eggs for lunch, and I probably will have that on, my God, we've actually got banter here about bolognese. I really am not, how can you pronounce bolognese without the G? Anyway, right, so that's breakfast ideas. Okay, lunch. I randomly took a picture of my tuna earlier. Right, so here we go. Here's some lunch ideas that are high protein. So for some reason, every week at the moment, I've get right into soup, and I simply buy a chopped veg pack from Tesco, bung it in a pan with some lentils and some water, and a bowl of that gives me 7 grams of protein. But more importantly is the tuna. That gives me a big bang of protein here, and with some tomatoes, 32 grams in total. Really, really filling. Sometimes I'll maybe have a bit of Danish bread, sometimes, depending how I'm feeling. And sometimes I like a carb with my soup, but that is a huge amount of protein, and it's a really, really filling lunch. And that's just a can of tuna with some salad cream. There's no protein in salad cream. Another lunch idea, using some chicken breast. Again, a protein thin bagel, they make an appearance quite a lot, with salad and butter, and that gives me nearly 40 grams of protein. And then another lunch idea that I've had over the past couple of weeks is using the Heck chicken sausages. 3 of them, 24 grams of protein, microwavable green lentils, Vic salad, whatever's kicking about, another 30 grams of protein right away. So you can see that this is totting up. So if I have 42 grams of 40 grams of protein, say for my breakfast, 40 grams of protein for my lunch, that's 80 grams out of 140. So I still get 60 to get, and I've only got one meal. So you can see why people can struggle with this initially. So here's some breakfast, some evening meal ideas. So bolognese, edamame beans, reduced fat cheddar, pasta. Pasta does have protein in it, but it's more of a carb source. But overall, that meal was, well, I haven't put the pasta in there. It's 41 grams of protein. Chicken, portobello mushroom, potato wedges. Look at my sad, lonely bit of red pepper there. It's because that's all that was left. 35 grams of protein, and another one, which I didn't take a picture. It was a chicken curry with peanut butter. Not the Scott Baptist one, but it was kind of bastardized from that slightly. 30 grams of protein. Okay, now that doesn't tot up to 140 grams, so I need to get my protein elsewhere through the form of snacks. Now, for those of you who have spent any time with me or any time in our group, sorry, just checking the messages again, you'll know that we love snacks. Snacks to me are, I really like them, and I feel like we should all have them. But it's easy to get caught up in the snacks as only being chocolate or only being crisps or only being something that's not good for us. But in actual fact, we can get really protein friendly snacks to take us through to our next meal without us hitting that whole, sugar rush, sugar crash. Okay, so here's some good ideas, and Clara will be laughing because the top of the list of snacks is hard-boiled eggs. Now, actually, boiled eggs aren't that huge a protein source. They're all right. They're not the best. Protein is found in the egg white. Fat is the egg yolk. So per egg, you're only looking at about 7 grams of protein per egg. Okay, so eat your eggs because they are tremendous, like the best thing in the world. Absolutely one of the best things in the world. So eat them, but don't use them primarily as your only protein source. Okay, getting some, like a Greek yogurt, you know, the Fage total individual pots, that's about 15 grams protein in one of those pots. So that's a huge amount of protein for not a lot of calories and quite a good volume of food. And that's going to make you feel satisfied. Mini Baby Bell Lights, 2 of them, 10 grams of protein. You get to eat cheese, like you get to eat cheese. Incredible. Cottage cheese, half a tub. I think that's maybe about 100-ish calories, 115 calories, something like that. But 16 grams of protein and half a tub of cottage cheese. Mix that in with pineapple, mix it in with prawns, mix it in with spring onions, chives, you know, taste sensation. Also have to be in the mood for it. Cold meats, can't spell. An average slice of good quality ham, you're maybe looking at about 6 grams. And a scoop of protein, you're maybe looking at about 20 grams. And a protein bar, which I have put last on the list because people go, oh, I'll just have a protein bar. Now, protein bars, word of warning, are hugely calorific. So a normal carb crusher is about 230 calories. And it's a big bar, like it will fill you up, but it's quite a lot of calories for what you get. And a big bar is about 22 grams. So what we always say to our clients is, because they're normally having to be in a calorie deficit, if you're having a protein bar, enjoy it, treat it like you would a chocolate bar. Like, it's not there for all the time. It's there to help you with to get that satisfaction of a chocolate bar, but cut them in half. The minute you get them, cut them in half and pop them in the fridge. Okay. So don't have any more to say about that. I'm going to stop the screen share and bring you back to normal. Am I back to normal? Yeah. Okay. So, my loves, hit me up with your questions. So Melanie, you are going to just get on absolutely fine. If you like all of those foods, you're going to get on absolutely okay. So yeah, Joanne, that's a good point. Protein yogurts, read the labels. All I would say is read the labels on them, because some of them are advertised as protein and they're not necessarily that high protein. The Quark ones tend to be pretty good in terms of the amount of protein. I can't remember what they're called now. There's ones that they do really nice flavors. What are is it Kavarg that do the lemon cheesecake and the white chocolate ones? They're quite nice, but I think they're lower. I think they're maybe about 14 grams of protein. But anyway, that's why we need protein. That's how we get our protein, and that's a focus for everybody now, I hope. Okay, so thanks, Joanne. Either you have committed these to memory, and this is a skill that you should go and mastermind for, or you're standing in your fridge going, that's got 22 grams of protein. Thank you, Joanne. Good. Okay, so in summary, if you're trying to lose body fat, calories are king. Okay, then we want to focus on protein. So use the tips that I've given you. Try and add up as you go through the day where you can get more protein. So a good tip is to start with one meal. Start with breakfast. How can you get more protein at breakfast? Once you've nailed that for a couple of weeks, start with lunch. How do you get more protein into your lunch? Then start with your dinner. And most people, that's tend to be where they get the majority of their protein. But by that time, you don't really have enough time in the day to catch up. So have a look and see what you can do. Eggs, absolutely bloody eggs, Clara. So as I said at the beginning, start where you are. If you're currently eating a low-fat Muller Lite with some tinned mandarins for breakfast, and you're eating salad with a tablespoon of tuna, and then you have a chicken breast and a dry chicken breast and vegetables, start somewhere that you know that you can make some big wins. So your Muller Lite can easily be replaced with Greek total, not percent fat yogurt, easily. And that's going to give you a big hit straight away. Look at upping your protein at lunchtime. You know, very typically we're like, oh, I need to have all the salad. Yeah, we do need to have all the salad, but we need to have more protein. So, any questions? Oh yeah, Clara's talking about the non-milk, the clear whey from my protein. I know do it. I've got the mojito flavored one, and actually, I'm not going to lie, I have tried it with some gin, and it was quite nice. Sorry, I wouldn't make a habit of it, but it was like, oh, this is an interesting mix. So yes, do your research, do what works for you, increase your protein. You're going to see benefits. You're going to see benefits. All righty, bang on, half an hour tonight. That was happy days. Right, has anybody got any questions before we go? If you need help with this, you know, if you're not making progress, if you're stuck, if you've been trying different things over the years, changing your protein intake isn't going to be the magic bullet. It's not the thing. Change it. This is for, you know, if you are stuck, you need to get in touch, because just making a fix to your protein isn't going to change your life. You know, it's going to get you more protein, but chances are it's not going to be the one thing that's going to help you drop 2 dress sizes in 90 days. So if you do need help, reach out, drop me a PM that says ready, or put ready in the comments, and one of the team will get you booked in for a consultation. But in order to get change needs to happen, regardless of whether it's protein, whether it's calories, whether it's a movement, whether it's a mindset. And the quicker that people can come to terms with the fact that I'm not doing this right and might need some help, the quicker you're going to get results. So if you do need help, you know where I am. And if you don't want my help, that's okay. That is a-okay, no pressure. Okay, right, we've got no other questions, I don't think. So I'm going to let y'all go. I know everybody comes to this on a Wednesday just wanting to know what it is that I'm having for my dinner tonight. So tonight we have got vegan sausages with, I'm going to make some creamed spinach, and I'll make my creamed spinach with a little bit of fry light, spinach, garlic, and then I add a shit ton of Philadelphia light and add some salt and pepper, and it's delicious. If it gets too thick and gloopy, you add a splash of water or a splash of milk, and it's amazing. Very nice with a steak as well. And I think we're going to have some potatoes, because I've still got potatoes left over. So yeah. So have a tremendous evening. Yeah, have a great evening, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Have a good one. Night, night. Now I need to figure out how to log out.